The boy's name was Santiago. He was a shepherd, traveling endlessly with his sheep. He decided to stop and rest for the night. Here we see him as he rests, only to wake up in darkness. The boy was alone with his thoughts, but not completely alone. Concerning company, he had his sheep. The boy had spoken to his sheep about many things, but in the past few days he'd spoken about one thing and one thing only: a girl, the daughter of a merchant. When he thought about the merchant girl, he was reminded of the old woman in Tarifa, who interpreted dreams. While visiting the town of Tarifa, he couldn't shake the memory of his recent dreams. When he saw the woman who interpreted dreams, he described the recurring dream that he'd been having to her. The woman explained that there was treasure in store for Santiago, if only he would travel to the pyramids in Egypt. In return for reading his dream, the woman only required a portion of the treasure that she told Santiago he would find. The boy left the old woman and sought out the rest of the tasks he had to do. On his journey, he met Melchizedek, a man who claimed to be the king of Salem. The king began to talk to Santiago as they sat on a bench in the commons of town. The king asked for 1/10 of Santiago's sheep in exchange for the advice that he gave Santiago to help him discover his personal legend, and also the 2 small stones he'd so graciously supplied. The boy thought for a while, contemplating his choices. Then he decided he would give the strange king 1/10 of his sheep, because why not? Santiago, heeding the king's wise words, sold his sheep and used his life savings to buy a ticket to Africa to see the glorious pyramids where he would find his treasure. Once Santiago made it across the water, he made acquaintance with another young boy, who told him he could take Santiago to the pyramids. But alas, the young native dressed in black done robbed him, and took off with his money. Out of money, desperate, and stuck in a foreign land, Santiago, who had come across a crystal merchant, decided to ask if he could help around his shop in return for monetary compensation. After months of work, Santiago was growing very weary of his situation with the crystal merchant. The merchant does not understand why Santiago wants to make so many so-called improvements. Santiago now joins a caravan moving towards the pyramids and meets an Englishman. The man constantly reads and chooses to divulge in his books besides getting to know the man he travels with. After a bit of trying to converse with the Englishman, Santiago showed him Uma Thurman, and that caught the man's interest. Santiago and the Englishman stood by a well at the oasis, and the Englishman noticed a girl. Santiago and the girl, Fatima, fell for each other in a cliché romance sort of way. Things were starting to get tense as the caravan was traveling through conflict-stricken lands. Santiago began witnessing many omens, and runs into the alchemist that the Englishman was looking for. The alchemist takes the young man under his wing as his apprentice. The alchemist convinced Santiago to leave Fatima and go to the pyramids to pursue his personal legend. Santiago and the alchemist get into trouble and run into one of the warring tribes. The alchemist gives the chief all of Santiago's money and claims that Santiago can turn into the wind. Now, in order to proceed on his journey, Santiago must do just that. He panics and looks up to the heavens. He begins to communicate with the forces of nature, and then to God himself. And then he turns himself into the wind. Santiago finally arrives at the pyramids and starts digging anxiously for his treasure. He's suddenly confronted by a bandit. The bandit beats up on him and leaves him helpless and confused. Santiago has a sudden realization that his personal legend is back in Spain, and lies under the tree in the abandoned church in which he found himself sleeping way back in the beginning. He travels back, starts digging in that exact spot, and finds his treasure. He does a victory dance, for he has found his personal legend. Now, he must move on and meet again with Fatima.